Snowsky Oak Nano, the very first flagship from FiiO sub-brand, and there is a special story behind it. So I like to touch a bit on the perspective behind this Snowsky Oak Nano. Why is it so very special? You might remember that over 2 years ago, there is a wonderful IEM single driver FD7, which was entirely constructed of pure beryllium. It was really exotic and it was very well received. And in fact, FiiO is no longer making them because apparently, in order to source out to get that beryllium driver, they have to actually find it from a singular manufacturer or singular supplier in US, and it was exceedingly very slow to obtain enough number to sustain the production of FiiO FD7. FiiO have taken the decision to stop entirely doing FiiO FD7 once they finish the last batch because it was just not feasible at all for them to continue making it. Instead of giving up on the legacy of beryllium IEMs, beryllium dynamic driver IEMs, they actually have spent the last 2 years quite extensively seeking for a replacement. But they don't want to compromise on the quality or the experience of using beryllium type of dynamic driver. They have succeeded in creating a new formula which is called beryllium alloy. Beryllium alloy is basically a mixture of some other metal with beryllium component. Not exactly a pure beryllium like the FD7, but still beryllium because it is not coated. And the unboxing experience is definitely flagship. Just like FiiO other flagship IEM, you're gonna find tons and tons and tons of ear tips. Yes, I am literally talking about countless number of ear tips. Okay, at the bottom here, there are two types of ear tips, which is a sticky type, which I don't like, and of course this narrow bore, the darker silicone ear tip. And of course we have another collection here, which contains another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, already 5 inside this box, and 2 here, 7 already. But wait, it is not over yet. We still have here another one at the bottom here, which is another special kind of ear tip. All 8 of them will offer different kind of sonic experiences, different kind of sound. I actually have opted to use the special ear tip because it offers me a very good balance of comfort. Seal factor, it does not get sticky to my ear, and the bore size is just not too small, not too wide, very well balanced between being musical, technical, does not sacrifice anything. If you were to pick up any of those ear tips which are kind of a bit shallow, kind of a bit wider, then this Snowsky Oak Nano would sound kind of a bit on the brighter side as well. It also comes with this 2 type of tuning nozzle, simply named as bass or treble tuning nozzle. And as the name implies, depending on what you choose or what you like, if you are like me, prefer something which is not too bright, of course I am almost always on the bass nozzle because it does kind of a bit boost the lower frequency from the mid bass all the way to the sub bass, even lower mid range, into something which I would regard as being wholesome and full bodied, and the upper frequency seems to be dampened a bit. But if you are treble head, obviously the choice is very clear. You like something which is sparkly, energetic, very technical with the upper frequency, you go for the treble nozzle. They are very easy to swap. The cable is also quite premium and it does not tangle easily. It is slightly on the heavier gauge, but at least it is comfortable. It does not emit any kind of microphonic like this, and it is also comfortable around my ear, and it is also modular, which comes in 3 type of configuration: 4.4 mm balance like what I'm using right now, 3.5 mm single-ended, and of course USB Type-C, which is practically a mini dongle inside this box here. So you get quite a lot of stuff for the price that you are paying. Despite being entirely made of metal, very exotic titanium shell, very premium. The inspiration for this Snowsky Oak Nano, as mentioned by FiiO, was that they want to emulate the kind of craftsmanship which is typically found on watch making. So you can expect the kind of build quality which is exquisite, luxurious. It is of course kind of a bit heavier because being made of titanium, but at least wearing it like this, it is quite comfortable. Even for the last 3 to 4 hours, once I get used to it, because the bullet shape is definitely very forgiving. When it comes to seal factor, it is actually fairly quite good, considering that this is a metal shell IEM. And just like many other metal shell IEM, typically you can't expect super excellent kind of seal factor because I am still hearing quite a bit of windy sound, ambient sound around me. But at least I am getting something which will prevent me from cranking up the volume too high once I am in a noisy environment. With an impedance rating rated at 50 ohm, I repeat 50 ohm, which is kind of a bit high on current standard, and with sensitivity fairly okay at 112 dB, it does require a bit of power, but at least if you are able to drive it like what I'm doing right now, connecting it to my Venture Electronic Devastator Pro, which is my current favorite ultra compact dongle because I can carry it around, I am still getting 2 VRMS of power from this Venture Electronic Devastator Pro and at around 160 milliwatt. I was already getting the kind of sound which I would regard as being wholesome, full-bodied, and the dynamic authority, the balance between musicality and technicality is just simply excellent. Efficient to drive despite being rated at 50 ohm, and the best part is that it does scale really well, because once I push the power all the way to 1000 milliwatt of power with Fang Sound Prometheus, or even higher at 3000 milliwatt of power from the Venture Electronic Galvatron, then I am hearing the kind of sound which is truly mind-blowing. You see, the appeal of Beryllium dynamic driver is that it offers the kind of transient handling, the kind of transient speed, which is normally associated to magnetic planar or even balanced amateur. And this is one of the reasons why you're seeing that so many brands are so very engrossed with the idea of doing a hybrid like dynamic driver with beryllium coating. So you can imagine if this IEM is entirely constructed of beryllium alloy instead of coated, you can expect practically the kind of technicalities, transient speed, resolution, imaging and detail which is normally associated with multiple balanced amateur kind of setup or very well-tuned magnetic planar. It offers the kind of technicality which is very resolving. The layering and the separation, the imaging, the details and the coherency of the dynamic transient itself is just excellent. This is a single driver anyway, so it will never have any kind of issue with coherency. Everything is just simply harmoniously flowing. As with many other highly technical drivers like balanced amateur or even magnetic planar, there's a tendency that in the process of being highly technical, highly resolving, very detailed, they tend to sacrifice on one element, which is the tonality and timbre. Very, very technical, sharp sounding, sibilant sounding, lean sounding, and lacking body. The appeal of using dynamic driver, the traditional dynamic driver, they are less likely to be clinical or lean sounding or dry sounding. And such is the case for this OG Nano, because what I'm hearing, assuming that you are using the same combination like me, using the ear tip which I have shown to you earlier, using the best nozzle, driving it using this Venture Electronic Devastator Pro, I am getting something which I would consider as 50% technical and 50% musical. Being musical is much more important to me, but I can live with 50-50 because what I'm getting is something which is fast, very resolving, something which is wide and open with the soundstage, immersive sounding because it has very strong element of musicality without sacrificing the element of tonality and timbre. This is one of those few IEM for those people who are looking for balanced sounding IEM. And the upper frequency itself, it will be entirely dependent on what kind of nozzle and what kind of ear tip you use. If you choose a wider type of silicone ear tip or shallower type, then it will be outright bright sounding. A bit more technical, a bit more vibrant, energetic, and it extends a bit further in the upper frequency. Or just simply put, suitable for people who are treble head. But for me, no. I prefer my upper frequency to be a bit more tamed down, just a little bit sparkly, energetic, vibrant with proper extension in exchange for something which is a bit more organic sounding. So I choose the best nozzle with narrower bore ear tip and everything is just perfect. So the upper frequency is highly technical yet never offensive depending on the configuration that you set it up, and also at the same time it is definitely not bright sounding, at least to my ear, even when I subject it to very chaotic rock and metal music. And the mid-range, again, with the combination of what I choose for the nozzle and the ear tip, The mid-range can be either very transparent or kind of a bit color-ish. Coloration with male and even female vocal especially those which are deep-chested type, contralto type or even male baritone type. I am hearing the kind of coloration which add body to the sound itself, which add texture, which add a bit more of immersion factor, which makes it even more pleasing listening to. But it is definitely not accurate. But in order to achieve something which is accurate with the mid-range, all you need to do is just switch to treble nozzle and use wider bore ear tip. And when it comes to lower frequency, it is very clear to me that this Snowsky Nano is a mid-bass oriented IEM, not so much on the sub-bass because it favors a lot more on the mid-bass. So if you are a mid-bass person like me who love thumpy, punchy, fast, tidy, very detailed, very well bodied with the mid-bass itself, this is one of those IEM that I would highly recommend. It is definitely super suitable for rock and metal music, for anything which require a bit more of emphasis on the mid-bass, not so much on the sub-bass. But does it mean that it suffers on the sub-bass? Yes, just slightly, because I do feel that the extension is kind of a bit roll off, especially when listening to something which contains a lot of electronic element to it, electronic music or dance music. You can feel that, I can feel that the lower frequency, the sub-bass extension is just simply rolling off quite a bit early as compared to other competition in the market. All in all, my conclusion to this Snowsky Nano is that FiiO did the right thing. The first flagship for Snowsky, which helped to boost up the image of Snowsky, and this is definitely an excellent product. To my perspective, Snowsky is successful here because the way they package this thing is just simply marvelous. You have seen what I have shown to you earlier. For the price that you're paying, you're getting so much, and when it comes to sound and performance, it is definitely right up there with the kind of IEM which is to be expected within the price of 500 to 1000 US dollar.